Now I sometimes watch videos by the Critical Drinker and he, let's face it, gets a hell of a lot more views than I do. I said the Critical Drinker, that's clearly the YouTuber Snarky J. Can you put the Critical Drinker up now please? That's better, and I watched one recently. Big Trouble in Little China is a film that the Critical Drinker described as
one of my favourite movies of all time,
and described it as a fun, action-packed, perfectly paced film. So is he right? Also, put the picture of Snarky J back up, you were maybe right the first time. Big Trouble is an action comedy from 1986, directed by John Carpenter. Now I tend to really like John Carpenter movies, he's one of my favourite directors, and I had thought of this film as being one of his better ones. I think for me, his best movie was 1982's The Thing, and that seems to be the broad consensus on IMDb. But I watched Big Trouble again yesterday, looked at it with a very critical eye, and I think I've changed my mind, so brace yourself. I now think that Big Trouble in Little China is my favourite John Carpenter film. My mind hasn't changed, I still don't think it's Carpenter's best movie, it's just I think I may be changed, and I think it's his best movie for me right now. For the mood I was and am in, it's just perfect. John Carpenter's films tend to be quite dark in tone, and I'm not sure I need any more of that right now. If I need that I can just turn on the news, I need the opposite of that. Big Trouble is just immense fun.
Look out, guys!
It feels like a roller coaster ride or going down a water slide. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, and it just went in a flash for me. I was having that much fun. Now the Critical Drinker maybe got a few details in his review wrong, like when he described Kim Cattrall's character as being a journalist, when she's a lawyer.
All the supporting cast are perfect in their roles too. Gracie Law could easily come across as pushy and abrasive, but Kim Cattrall does a great job at making her likeable and endearing, caught up in romantic notions of being a hardcore journalist, but lacking the skill or experience needed to do it.
Which is a bit of a strange mistake to make. Gracie herself says at one point in the film,
I've been trying to get anybody from the press to listen to me about this, Burton. And it's just not possible that you actually saw David Lopan.
Also, at another point of the film, another character just straight up says that she's a lawyer.
That American girl back at the airport seemed to know something was up. Stay away from her, Jack. She's nuts too. She's a lawyer. She's a what?
So it seems he maybe made a mistake. You wouldn't catch me doing that. No, normally me putting out a video on YouTube at all seems like a mistake, but that's a minor thing. What about the rest of the film and his review? For me, the whole cast of the film was great. The movie doesn't take itself too seriously. Kim Cattrall was stunning in it. And a little known fact about her, she was actually born in the UK, in Liverpool. Her family moved to Canada when she was young, and if they hadn't, she would have gotten this accent.
A 20-minute journey it takes me to get to work, and it just took me an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm just not at work yet. I've had to pull over and calm down.
The film had a reported budget of around $20 million, so it cost about the same as one episode of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte, but to be fair, you do have to account for inflation. The film was fine showing women sometimes being vulnerable, which despite being a fact of life, seems to be a thing that Hollywood just can't abide any longer. Much like showing men and women being attracted to each other. The script is just really neat and well formed, it has character motivations and arcs, and doesn't really have any plot holes that I can point to. IMDb describes the film as a rough and tumble trucker and his sidekick face off with an ancient sorcerer in a supernatural battle beneath Chinatown. And that doesn't really capture what the film is at all for me. It stars Kurt Russell playing Jack Burton, who is the rough and tumble trucker.
You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Who?
Jack Burton. Me.
Jack Burton is a complete buffoon, a braggart, a fool. That was him going to face the big bad guy of the film, the evil sorcerer Lopan, having just kissed a woman and gotten himself covered in lipstick. This is Jack managing to knock himself out before the film's climactic battle. But his heart is in the right place. He seems to think he's the hero of the film while being completely out of his depth for most of the movie, and it's genius. Kurt Russell does all that and still makes Jack so likeable. With how much his friend Wang Chi carries Jack, Jack is the comedy sidekick of the film who thinks he's the hero, and him being out of his depth and never knowing what's going on allows the characters that do know to tell him and therefore tell the audience, and it's needed because the events of the film are total chaos. And it seems that was John Carpenter's intention, that he, quote, envisioned the film as an inverse of traditional scenarios in action films with a Caucasian protagonist helped by a minority sidekick, and there seemed to be substantial changes made to the original script where Burton was more of a traditional hero, and he didn't manage to knock himself out. According to Carpenter, the studio didn't get it when he proposed this, and it seems people still don't to this day. Kurt Russell does comedy very well when he wants to. From here on in there will be spoilers. The film opens up in a lawyer's office after the events of the main story have taken place, and a lawyer wants to find Jack Burton. So he's asking a character called Egg Shen, played by Victor Wong, who's just amazing in this film.
What more can a guy ask for?
Oh, the 6 demon bag.
Terrific. A 6-demon bag. Sensational. What's in it, Egg?
Wind, fire, all that kind of thing.
He's amazing in practically everything he's ever in. The John Carpenter music starts up right away with unnerving tones of mystery. The lawyer wants to know what happened because half a city block exploded in green flame. The lawyer won't accept Egg's explanation that it was magic. He wants proof. So Egg does this. This same sort of structure was used in another John Carpenter film, Ghosts of Mars, having someone recount the story after it's taken place, and that was a film I was very critical of for doing this exact thing. So why is this different? Well, because Victor Wong just sells the scene so well. It's less of a spoiler because Egg Shen is not the main protagonist of the film like Natasha Henstridge was in Ghosts of Mars, so it's less of an issue if we know he survives. Unlike in Ghosts, Big Trouble also doesn't do any other flashbacks, or even worse, flashbacks nested in other flashbacks, and this crazy moment right at the start just shocked me awake. That is the first couple of minutes of the movie and I'm already in. It's preparing you for the film going from normal to crazy in an instant, in any instant. We then cut right to the start of the story. Jack Burton is in his truck talking on the radio and he's going to Chinatown to meet a friend, Wang Chi. They go gambling and Jack wins big, but Wang needs the money. He's getting married and his bride is coming from China on a plane. So he bets double or nothing with Jack that he can cut a glass bottle in half with a knife, and is surprised when he fails.
It's all in the reflexes.
Jack wants his money, but Wang has to go to the airport to pick up his bride, Miao Yin, and Jack doesn't want to let Wang go without paying him, so they both go to the airport in Jack's truck. There they meet Kim Cattrall playing Gracie Law, a lawyer who was there to meet someone arriving on the same plane. Jack tries to hit on her, but she's having none of it. A group of punks bump into them, and Jack is about to square up to them until Gracie tells him not to. They're a street gang who are bad news. As Gracie's friend arrives, the music is building tension, and the Chinese gangsters grab her. Jack steps in trying to be the hero, and things get out of hand quickly, and they drop Jack.
Let's you and me have a little talk, friend. What? Where'd you get that? Wait a minute, pal.
Miao Yin gets off the plane and the gangsters abduct her and speed away in a car. Jack and Wang give chase in Jack's truck, follow them to their base in Chinatown and almost run Egg Shen's tour bus off of the road. They cut down an alley and the film goes completely off the rails. It just goes insane. The truck has to stop for a funeral procession, but Wang says it's okay. They're good guys, called the Chang Sing. They're okay. Until Jack sees another group of armed men coming from behind them. The Chang Sing's vicious enemies, the Wing Kong.
Wang, these guys, these Sing-dings.
Chang Sings.
They got enemies?
Wing Kong.
Who wear red turbans. Holy shit! These guys are animals, Jack.
Now Jack and Wang are stuck in Jack's truck in the middle of a pitched kung fu battle. It just comes out of nowhere. They have some really good performers from Hong Kong martial arts movie scene. We're maybe a quarter hour in at this point. The Chang Sing start to win, and then, well, this happens. Three guys in antiquated outfits with outlandish abilities appear from a burst of green flame in the middle of the street and start to slaughter the good guys. Jack slams the truck into drive, finds the road blocked by a 7-foot-tall Chinese man in imperial Chinese clothes, who he runs over. When Jack gets out of the truck, the man is standing there just fine, and blinding light comes from his mouth and eyes. All of this just comes out of nowhere. Jack and Wang have to run away on foot, abandon Jack's truck, bump into the street gang, and are pursued through Chinatown until they make it back to Wang's family's restaurant. We find out that the people they ran into are supposed to be legends. They're not really supposed to exist. 3 legendary warriors called the Three Storms, and the 7-foot-tall Chinese man was an alleged 2,000-year-old sorcerer called Lo Pan, who was cursed and became an incorporeal ghost.
Now, this really pisses me off to no end.
Jack's truck gets stolen by the street gang, and he ends up wearing a dressing gown when Gracie turns up to the restaurant with information. She found out where the gang took Mao Yin, to a bordello in order to sell her. They send Jack into the bordello undercover as a John to try and find Miao Yin, but she's taken again, this time by the Three Storms. Jack tries to intervene and gets decked again. Lo Pan needs a girl with green eyes to marry and then sacrifice in order to break the curse that was applied to him and return to human form. The good guys then go into Lo Pan's lair to try and find Mao Yin. Fail, get captured, all escape apart from Gracie, who gets grabbed by a Yeti monster on the way out. So now Lo Pan has both Miao Yin and Gracie, both of whom have green eyes. So he intends to marry both of them, sacrifice Gracie, break the curse, reclaim his body, keep Miao Yin as his wife, and then try to take over the world. The heroes group comes back as Lo Pan is preparing the ritual, this time with the sorcerer and bus driver Egg Shen and the remaining Chang Sing to help them. Egg Shen gives them a potion to make them capable of fighting against Lo Pan and his group. They wait for Lo Pan to get his body back so he can be harmed and then attack. Jack flies into the air and gives a battle cry. Falling masonry hits him on the head and knocks him out. Wang has a duel against one of the Storms, Rain, and has a cheeky moment when Rain looks at him shocked that a mere human can keep up with him. The bad guys all get defeated, the captive's freed, and now Jack is free to start a relationship with Gracie, and then he doesn't. She seems to be all up for the idea. He just turns and leaves, going back to his truck and a life on the road. So in short, when it comes to this film, I tend to agree with the critical drinker. It's fantastic and just such great fun. Why can't we get films like this anymore?